Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to demystify a technology we hear about constantly, but honestly can still feel a bit like magic: blockchain. Even if you follow the crypto space closely, the actual mechanics under the hood can seem kind of abstract. So we're going to break down this architecture of trust using some simple, everyday analogies so you can see exactly how this revolutionary system really ticks.
So let me ask you a deceptively simple question. Do you really trust your bank with your money? Think about it for a second. Right now, when you shoot $50 to a friend, whether that's through a traditional bank transfer, PayPal, or Venmo, you're completely relying on a central authority to keep the score straight. If your app says you have a $500 balance, you just trust that number, right? Because you trust the bank. It's essentially blind faith in one single institution.
But we really have to look at the massive flaws built into that kind of centralized setup. I mean, what if the bank makes an error? What if their servers get hacked? What if a government steps in and freezes your account? Or worst case scenario, what if they just lie? The entire traditional financial system hangs on trusting one central point, and that creates a highly vulnerable single point of failure. That institution can fail you, it can cheat, or it can be completely manipulated.
Okay, let's dive into this because looking for a way around that single point of failure leads us straight to the core of blockchain. At its absolute foundation, blockchain is literally just a ledger. That's it. It's simply a digital record book that logs every single transaction ever made on the network. But unlike the private record book sitting on some hidden server at your local bank, this ledger absolutely cannot be faked or altered once something is written in. The way it achieves this unbreakable security is by tackling the trust problem through decentralization. Instead of one central bank holding the only copy of the record book, which, again, is a super vulnerable single point of failure, blockchain spreads identical copies of that exact same ledger across thousands of computers all over the globe, all at the exact same time. And you'll often hear a specific term thrown around for those thousands of computers sharing the ledger. They're called nodes. But let's ditch the jargon. A node is really just a computer. But together, every single one of these nodes holds an identical, real-time copy of the complete transaction history.
Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how the incredible security guarantee of this decentralized web comes down to one specific number: 51%. See, because there's no central server to hack, attacking the network requires a totally different and, frankly, overwhelmingly difficult approach.
For a hacker to fake or alter a transaction on this ledger, they can't just break into one bank's database. No way. They would have to simultaneously hack and change the records on over 51% of all those thousands of individual nodes at the exact same second. In any large established blockchain, pulling off a coordinated hack on that massive scale is practically sci-fi. It's computationally and financially near impossible.
Section 1. Anatomy of a block. How the chain is built.
So, we know the network is incredibly secure as a whole, but how does the actual record-keeping work on a micro level? Well, transactions aren't just tossed into the ledger randomly. They're packaged together into blocks. You can just think of a block as a simple package of data. And there are 4 basic ingredients inside every single block: a batch of recent transactions, a timestamp of exactly when it was created, a unique code called a hash, and finally, the hash of the block that came right before it.
Let's clarify that third ingredient. What is a hash? A hash is essentially a digital fingerprint for that specific block. Just like your fingerprint uniquely identifies you, a hash is a string of math that uniquely identifies the exact contents of that block. If even a single comma in the transaction data changes, boom, the entire digital fingerprint changes completely.
And here's where it gets absolutely brilliant, because ingredient number 4 is the fingerprint of the previous block. All the blocks are mathematically chained together in a strict sequence. So the crucial point is, if a hacker tries to change an old transaction, the hash for that old block changes. And because the next block is looking for that old hash, the connection instantly snaps. It breaks the chain for every single block that comes after it, making the tampering immediately obvious to the entire network of nodes.
Let's move to Section 2. The Google Doc analogy. Simplifying decentralization.
Because if all this talk of hashes and nodes still feels a bit abstract, mapping it onto something we use every day makes it instantly click. Imagine a shared Google document. In this analogy, every time a new block of transactions is created, it's exactly like someone typing a new line of text into that document. The nodes, that's simply everyone around the world who has the document open on their screen, viewing it. And the blockchain ledger itself, that's the shared document that everyone is looking at simultaneously.
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole philosophy when you look at the rules of this specific Google Doc. Thousands of people see it update in real time. But here is the kicker. You can only add new lines. Nobody, no matter who they are or how much power they have, can go back and delete or edit the old lines. And, most importantly, no single person owns or controls the document. It's a permanently growing record with no central owner, which perfectly captures the essence of a decentralized blockchain.
Moving on to Section 3, why this matters. The context of money.
Now that we really understand the mechanics, we have to look at why this technology was so desperately needed in the first place. And to grasp that, we need to anchor ourselves in the year 2008. The global financial crisis was absolutely devastating, and it exposed the fatal flaws of the traditional, centralized financial system we talked about at the very beginning of this explainer.
As we know from that historical reality, during the crisis, banks that everyday people had trusted for decades completely collapsed. Many required massive government bailouts just to survive. Why? Because those central institutions, acting as that single point of failure, had made incredibly reckless decisions behind closed doors with people's money. Blockchain wasn't just some fun math experiment, it was invented as a direct response to this massive failure of trusted central institutions playing recklessly with our money.
The creators of blockchain realized we needed a financial system where you simply don't have to trust human beings or opaque organizations to do the right thing. Instead, this technology lets us rely on infallible math, which, let's face it, never has a bad day or makes a reckless bet, alongside a decentralized network to guarantee the accuracy of every single record. It entirely removes the need to put your blind faith in one potentially flawed institution.
Which leaves us with a truly fascinating paradigm shift to consider. We now have the architecture to build truly trustless systems where the network itself acts as the verifier. So I'll leave you with this. In a modern world where math and globally shared ledgers can mathematically guarantee trust and security, why do we still rely so heavily on centralized institutions that have the capacity to fail us? It's a powerful question, and it's exactly why understanding the fundamentals of blockchain is absolutely crucial for the future.